Welcome everyone back to UFO Unlimited. Today I've got a great guest. His name is Bernard. He's from Pennsylvania, and he's got some very just astounding encounters with ETs and UFOs that he's going to share with us tonight. So let's welcome in Bernard. Bernard, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I feel great. I'm having a good month. I'm looking forward to next month, and I'm hoping to get out and do my 1 to 2 hour walks when the weather gets really nice and balmy, and get on with the spring and summer.
Yeah, definitely. Plus, some of the restrictions from the COVID thing are lifting, and we all have a little bit more, freedom to kind of go about. So that's a good thing also.
I'll be outside by myself, walking around the perimeter of the property.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you just need nice weather for that. All right. So let's can we get into a little bit of your background that doesn't have to do with the UFO part? Just, kinds of jobs you had. I know you mentioned you were in the Air Force. Can we start with that?
Yeah. Take my glasses off here for a little bit. Get people to get a better look at me. I was born in Chester, PA. My dad got a house in northern Delaware when I was born, and parents divorced when I was 8. See here, I lived in northern Delaware. I've been in northern Delaware off and on for about 30 years. I've got about 8 to 10 years in Delaware County, Pennsylvania, and I got about 4 years in the Air Force. I traveled mostly stateside, and so been around the states a lot of time in Delaware, PA. I did a lot of work before the military. I did a lot of work in the restaurant business. Grew up in the restaurant business, Italian American restaurant. Really nice places to work as a kid, teenager, and great jobs, great people, great experiences. Had a lot of fun, as you can imagine. Teenagers do, right?
Right.
So so I went into the service. I was an Air Force personnel specialist in the service, kind of like an admin job called personnel. We had admin, then we had personnel specialists. So I did typing. I worked in outbound assignments. I worked in records. I updated on the computer. I briefed people on where they had to go to their next duty station. I also worked in reenlistments and extensions of enlistment. When I got to Dover, I was at Dover Air Base. I was at Dover Air Base before I got out, and I was also stationed in Monterey, California, which is near the Monterey Bay. It's actually an Army base, but we were detached there, servicing the Air Force students at the Defense Language Institute.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
so they taught every language in the world there. So I had a wonderful assignment. I guess the other assignment they think that it is really better than Monterey. Cannery Row, Fisherman's Wharf, John Steinbeck, Carmel, Clint Eastwood was mayor at the time, and 17 Mile Drive, Pacific Coast Highway, and all that.
Wow.
He is the Key West, Florida, and assignments in Florida and Key West Naval Air Station. Monterey was the greatest, and so I was very fortunate and lucky. And I was in during peacetime, so didn't have to get any. I fired small firearms just for a day, just some backpack. Really, most of us were pretty fit back then. We went in. None of us were overweight. We were all thin, so they didn't put us too much rigorous exercise because that really wasn't our mission. More of a thinking man's army. They call us the corporation. So that's like our nickname, the corporation.
Okay.
So anyway, I got out, and I just got back into the restaurant business, hotel business, country club sales, um, banquet waitering, banquet bartending, sales. I went to the VA helped pay me to go through beauty school. So I was a licensed cosmetologist and PA, yeah, and I did men's and women's hair.
Well, if you would, let's get into some of your experiences. I guess start right at the very beginning, if you would, for us, please.
Okay. Well, I have to I'm gonna fast forward a
Okay.
little bit because um I had my first missing time when I was 6 or 7 years old on my bike. And I came home late. My dad gave me hell. And that was around 1971, 72. I was in first or second grade. It was all forgotten. I did not remember that until after I had a visitation. I woke up about 3 or 4 in the morning to a 7 foot tall gray that was kneeling beside my bed taking sperm from me in the middle of the night. I woke up, I lifted my head, and I normally don't sleep on my back. And I lifted my head, and he was kneeling, and he must have been about at least 5 foot or more kneeling. So I know he was a 7 foot gray, and his head was bigger than a basketball. It was like out to here. That's how big
Wow.
his head was. Now he was glowing. So you don't hear all the reports, the details of the reports, but he was glowing. And I think the inner part of him was like a white light, and in the edges going in was like a blue light. And so I just knew to go back to sleep. And after that happened, I didn't tell people about it right away. It took me about a couple weeks, couple months for some reason. I don't know why, but then after that had happened, that's when I remembered the missing time after he had showed up that was 2013 when he showed up in the middle of the night. And then I remembered my missing time incident where I it was the summer of maybe 72. I was second grade, and I just got done eating lunch. My mom made me lunch. It's kind of hard to remember, but it's vaguely, but I remember distinctly when I came home. So I left on my bike, and all my friends were busy. I had a lot of friends around the neighborhood. And back in 72, in a nice Charlie Brown land development, you could ride your bike all around the different connecting developments. Nobody would bother you. None of my friends were home. And so something in me decided to ride my bike all the way to the next development, which was the Timbers, which was next door to the junior high school. And I rode my bike to a dead end where there was a fence and a bunch of trees and maybe a house here and a house there. But it was, it's a pretty quiet area. And that's the last thing I remember. The next thing I know is I'm looking down like this, and I'm pedaling, and I look up, and the sky's dark. The sky's like dark blue. It's almost turning black. Like in the summertime, it's not nighttime, but it's not daytime either. It's kind of between. It's like a blue, a little bit, maybe a little bit lighter than your sweat jacket. It's like a blue. So it's like around 8 o'clock at night, like maybe in a June or July. And it's not it's not really dark yet, but it's getting there. And you can still see. And I'm like, oh my God, it's late. And I don't have no watch on. I don't know how I know it's late. I know I'm late. So I'm huffing, I'm puffing, and I know I'm in trouble. So I get back. Of course, my dad gives me hell. He's, where have you been? And we were looking all over for you. We were calling for you. We were just getting ready to call the police. It must have been about 8 o'clock. And I left. You had lunch early in those days. I had lunch like around, must have been around at least between 12 and 2. And I was gone for at least 6 hours. And he said, well, where were you? I said, I was just riding my bike. Yeah, but for that long, you must have been over somebody's house. I said, no, I wasn't over anybody's house. Did somebody you sure? Were you with somebody? And he didn't believe me. And so he sat me down in the kitchen. My mom and sister were there, and they were quiet and they were waiting for me. I don't think they ate dinner yet. They were waiting. They may have waited for me to start dinner. And he started interrogating me I started to cry, and he knew I was telling the truth. So he let it go. It was all forgotten. That was it. Um, I remember I forgot all about it myself. And I had no idea I was an alien abductee. I had no idea. I never had any memory of it. I've been under hypnosis for something else, but not for abductions. I had to go under hypnosis for something. But anyway, I haven't been under hypnosis for. I have no memory. There was one other missing time that happened on recess in sixth grade. We all walked out for recess, and me and this kid, we don't know each other. We never played together, never seen him before. We just walked right up to each other like that, like we knew each other. And we were like, okay, let's walk out to the way end of the property. We just made a beeline. Like we weren't even doing it on our own. We walked out to the end of the property. We walked off the property into somebody's backyard. We walked off the school property into somebody's backyard. Uh, so it was a nice sunny day. We just stood there. We didn't know what to talk about. So we stood there, we were looking at each other. And we said, well, how long have we been here? I don't know. Well, let's go back, So we walked back, and the whole playground was empty. And then, they give you at least, I think they give you 20 minutes for recess. And I don't know how long we were there, but it seemed like we were only there for seconds, a couple of minutes at the most, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. And we didn't have any conversation. And so we came running back. We were running because back in the old days, back in even when I was in third grade, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth grade, the teachers never came out to watch you. You were out there by yourself. Anybody could have came and took you. I don't know if they ever watched us from the window, but they never came out. They were never with us. They would just come out to say, "Come on in now." But they left us out there all by ourselves. Even I can remember when I was in third grade. So anyway, so we come running back. He goes to his room. I don't know where his room is, upstairs. I come running into my room, and I said, "Look, I'm sorry I'm late. I was at the end. She's like, "Oh, just take a seat." And I'm like, "What?" So I take a seat, and she didn't say nothing to me. She didn't like chastise me or get me in trouble. The teacher didn't say a word to me about it. Everybody was already, when I came in the room, everybody was already seated and she was already doing class. I came running in and it was like nothing happened again.
Huh.
So I don't know.
Can I ask, did you ever talk to that other kid again about what happened?
No, and I never saw him again, and I never knew the kid. I never knew him.
I wonder if the same thing happened when he went back to class. If the teacher was like, yeah, no problem. Like maybe this whole thing was some kind of, mind control, possibly by the aliens, or like a highly suggestive sort of mental projection or something where they can just kind of get you to not really just kind of blow things off a little bit, I don't know.
There was definitely some kind of, I don't know about mind control. I didn't feel like my mind was being controlled, but I was being neurally directed. I was directed to that kid, and we were like, yeah, we approached each other. We just approached each other and decided to walk all the way off the property, and that's not normal. You approach somebody you don't know, and you make friends like that. You say, okay, let's go over here away from everybody and walk off the property, and then you just stand there and you not talk about anything. So I just remember the incident, and I don't know how long we were standing there for. I just, because it seems like we were only there for a couple minutes and we didn't say much. And then I know they gave us like 20 minutes, at least 15, 20 minutes for recess. And we weren't standing there for 15 minutes, not saying
Right.
nothing.
Yeah,
But that's what it felt.
that is that's pretty amazing. That's a great story. Um, any other? Yeah, I right now I can't hear you, but
Okay, there you
yeah,
are.
you'll
There
come
you are.
back. There you are. And okay, so anything else happen after that?
Yeah, well, I lived in Claymont, Delaware for about I lived in Claymont, Delaware from 1989 to 2016. But I guess that's what, almost 20 years. I don't know.
Yeah.
I moved around quite a bit. And so when I moved to Delaware County, before I went to Delaware County, I've had a few other things happen. Um, Around the time when I saw when the 7 foot tall gray came, one night I woke up around 4 a.m. It was dark. I opened my eyes, and it was like these two beams of white light were shining like laser beams out of the pupils of my eyes across the room.
Oh,
Kind of like Superman with the laser eyes, laser vision.
yeah,
And
that soup's right back there.
it, it was beams of white light, and if it wasn't dark, you probably wouldn't see it. But there were beams, and I'm laying down, I'm looking at these beams of white light, kind of like, wow, look at that. I'm like, where was I? Because where was I when I was sleeping? Because I do astral travel when I sleep sometimes, and I do go places, and I do meet people in other dimensions, and in the astral plane or the astral realm. I do meet people, and I do have conversations, and I do have interaction a lot with women, especially, as you can imagine. So, and then there was another occasion in that same apartment in Delaware when I was laying on the couch. I got out of bed because I couldn't breathe for some reason. I came to the couch and I propped my head up, and something came up to me. It was invisible. They can be here with you, but they're invisible. But if they want to, they'll make themselves known. And I didn't hear no words or anything, but I got this feeling like they wanted me to come back to bed for whatever reason. I said, okay, I'll come back to bed. Right? It seemed friendly. So I went back to bed. As soon as I laid on my side, it reached in and pulled my astral body out of my physical body, and we went flying through the wall up into the dark black sky. We were flying around in the black sky, and while we were doing this, and they took me to some places, and during the time Barack Obama was president, and for some reason, I don't know, I guess maybe it was just a maybe, I don't know if it was a fake image, but if I saw him like I see you. I mean, it was vivid, just like somebody standing right in front of me. And I saw Barack Obama he was smiling, he was looking at me, he was smiling, a becoming smile, looking at me like he knew what was going on. He knew me, he knew what was being done. While they had me out of my body, I could still feel that they were operating on the back of my head, that they had cut open the back of my head and they were doing something back here and operating. There was somebody else on the internet on maybe like a coast to coast AM show. They had the same thing happen to them where they were operating in their brain or the back of their head. And I had that happen to me. They were doing some kind of surgery on me. So, and then I told them, well, it's starting to hurt a little bit. And I said, well, yeah, it's really starting to hurt. So they put me back in my body, they hurt it and finished up. And that was that. And then that was around 2013, 2014. And then I moved again back to Delaware County from Delaware. I graduated high school in Delaware County. Um, so I lived in these apartments in Delaware County for just 2 years before I moved out here to Lancaster. And that's right. I've been in Lancaster since December of 2018. Been out here 4 years. Um, I had a really physical, because when the gray showed up, he was like a little translucent. I mean, he was physical, but he was still kind of it was almost like you could almost see through him, and he was glowing like fluorescent, like light bulbs, like a fluorescent light. And he was almost like you could almost see through him, but he was physical. But these grays, even though they may be robotic living organisms, they're all interdimensional. So anyway, I felt this present. Well, I woke up in fear, and I never woke up in fear before. Once again, I'm a side sleeper, and I like to sleep on my side.
Yeah.
And I woke up on my back, and I woke up in fear. I've never woken up in fear before. And I was in fear. I thought, well, there's somebody in my apartment. There's somebody here. And I said, it's crazy. There can't be nobody here. It's all locked up. I said, well, I'm thinking to myself, if there's somebody here, they're not human, because a human couldn't get in. I know that. I thought, well, if there's somebody in here, then they're not human. And I thought, well, maybe it's just me. So I'm like talking myself out of it. I was like, well, I'm not going to get up and check because I'm frightened. So I just laid in bed, and then I heard somebody walk up to my door on the carpeting. They walked up to my bedroom door, and so I closed my eyes and I pretended to be asleep. And next thing I know, I felt this stroking on my arm at the left side of the bed, and they knew I wasn't. He knew I wasn't. I was pretending. And he was like, you can open your eyes now. I mean, I know you're bluffing. So I opened my eyes, and hello, there he is. But I can't really make him out. I can't make him out. I'm probably glad I couldn't make him out. It was too dark to see his features, but he probably would have been a little on the grotesque side. It's hard to say. I saw a shadowy figure, thin, about 6 foot. He wasn't human. Shadowy, dark figure, big eye sockets, really big eye sockets, very thin, bony. I know he was in a position to hurt me. While he was standing there, there was like, now this was not a gray. He wasn't a gray.
Right.
It was a being. It was some type of being. I don't know if it was a fallen angel, whatever it was. It was a species, a being. It wasn't a gray. And there seemed like there was electricity in the air. And there was like this aura, and I could feel his fear. He could feel my fear. So, and it seemed like time on my alarm clock was real time was slowing down. That time was slowing down while I was in his presence. So, yeah. And so he was in a position to hurt me. And I thought, well, I felt that I'm protected as a Christian. And so we were taught, our class was like, reach out, reach out. When you graduate high school, to reach out. So I put my hand out to shake his hand, and figured, what do I got to lose, right?
Sure.
So he grabbed my hand. Well, he grabbed my hand. He pricked and pinched my hand, and I was like, "Oh no, don't hurt my hand." So he kind of, so I could have had conversation with him, but I didn't feel the need to talk to him for some reason. I kind of figured the visit I mean, while I was in his presence, I could sense that I could have talked. Not only could I have talked out loud, but I was telepathic, just like the Grays. When I went to Grays, when you're with them, you're hooked into their energy, and you are telepathic with them. We all are, but they have to. You have to be in their presence to be able to be What if you're with them? You're telepathic with them. It's automatic, and it comes so natural. It comes so natural.
Yeah, I mean, so
I mean,
many people have said that they speak the Greys or whatever, the tall Nordics or whatever, they all speak telepathically. So, and we
yeah,
can't do that. So that makes a lot of sense that you have to be in their presence to be able to, speak back. It's
yeah. I mean, I think I've opened up a few doors. I mean, before I became a born again saved Christian, I I didn't. I went to a church. I learned the Bible.
can we go back to that black figure with the big eyes that, that was
Yeah,
very menacing? Do you know the purpose for him being there?
yeah. I think I do. I think I do. That's why I didn't have conversation with him. He showed up. He showed up to let me know that they're watching me, and I knew that. I wasn't surprised because when I'm here by myself, I'm always feel like even no matter where I've lived, I'm by myself all the time. I live in solitude. I'm one of those that can live in solitude. I kind of was forced into it. I mean, I've had girlfriends, but I never got married, never had children. Anyway, it never happened for me. But I live in solitude, and many times I feel like there's I'm always I'm being watched.
Yeah.
I'm being watched. I'm being tracked. Like that like that girl, like that woman. There's two women. The woman in the movie Intruders with Richard Crenna. She went to him and she says, "I feel like I'm being watched. I'm being tracked." Yeah, it's the same thing. I had a nosebleed when I was in at Dover. I had nosebleeds real bad, like the girl in the movie. I don't know if there was an implant put there. I thought maybe it was the heating ducts in the room, so I got a dehumidifier, and they didn't do nothing for me. All I could do was pinch it. It was bleeding for about a week, and it finally
Huh.
stopped. But um, yeah, so yes. Anyway, yeah, I think I knew why he showed up because he was letting me know that they're watching me, and I know. Well, there's good ETs and there's bad ETs. The bad
Okay.
ETs are hooked into all the governments, and they're running the show on the planet. All this bad stuff going on is being done by the bad ETs. Everything bad that's going on is hooked into all the governments. It's being done by the bad ETs, and I know their agenda, and I know what they're going to do, and how they're going to do it, and I know the whole enchilada, everything, how they're going to do it, what they're going to do. I'll leave it there, and he knows that. And I also had some documents, and they're. Have you ever heard of Butch Wachowski on the homicide
Um,
detective Butch Wachowski, Pennsylvania homicide detective Butch Wachowski?
no, I
Yeah,
haven't.
well,
No.
it was based on. I did some research on. He did a MUFON lecture. He recently died. I was looking him up, but they took the video down of him off of YouTube, but I was able to print the documents out. I got three of the cases he talked about, and these are cases most people you don't want to show it to. You know, you
Huh.
don't. Most people can't look at these cases. They can't look at this. Okay, this is like undeniable proof. I got case studies of things that have happened that are pretty bad. Uh,
Where did where
I,
did you
pr- I,
get
I
the
printed them right
cases
off the
from?
internet. Now I didn't get them in any book.
Oh,
Now they may be in books. I don't know. I've had quite a few alien books, ET books, but these cases I tracked them down and I was handing them out to people. And some people, you know, they don't want to have enough. They don't want your average person out there. If they see this, they're like, take it away, take it. I don't want to have enough. I don't want to see it. I don't want to have nothing to do with it. You know, that kind of
yeah.
stuff. So, so I think maybe he might have showed up because I was passing that out to just strangers. I was passing it out to strangers. I was like, you know, I would pick my people. I would say I'd see I was picking out guys in F-150s, F-250s, union guys, work blue collar guys that were parked having their coffee in the parking lot of Home Depot, like in Delaware. I said, hey man, here, take this. What's that? Oh, you know, I give him that, and he would sit open it, and he was like looking at it in his truck, and I give him YouTube videos. You've heard of that David Pilates missing 411 national parks? Uh,
Oh yeah, of course.
so
Yeah.
this is what I do, right? I don't do it to strangers too much anymore. But I have a mailing list on YouTube that I keep people updated with, and people I try to help as many as I can because I have the time and I connect the dots and I find stuff. I mean, I find the best stuff on YouTube, and I print articles out and I'll mail stuff to people, especially my sister and people that I don't even deal with anymore. And but it costs money. You have to go to Staples and print copies, and they don't give me. Some people just won't give me their emails. So I keep my own notes too. I'll write out the YouTube videos and write the channel down, and I make YouTube lists. And then I also have articles. I have articles which are like, and it's all connecting the dots. You know, connecting this dot to this dot to this dot. Not to get off. I'm not getting off subject, but that you know, I connect the dots, and they know that's why he showed up. They know I've been connecting dots, and they know that I'm not. I used to really like the Grays. I used to like, well, maybe they're okay, most of them. Um, but I used to be really fond of the Grays, and I wanted to work with them. I told my people at the VA, you know, I said, you know, give me a job. I want to work with the Grays out there in the desert. You know, give me a job underground. I want to work with the Grays. You know, and you know, I said, you know, you're a doctor. You're a corner office doctor. Don't you know anybody? You could talk to somebody. You know, get me. I'll move out. I'll do some really far out stuff. But no, I mean, I get my health care there. So, but
Well, you kind of can I get back to something you said a little bit earlier? I mean, you really dropped a bombshell on us when you said that you know their agenda, but you can't get into it, and I appreciate that. But can I ask you, since you mentioned there are good ETs and bad
yeah,
ETs, and the bad ones are the ones that are working with the governments of
right.
our world. Which ones are the bad
That's a tough
ETs?
one. It's hard because even let's say it like this. I've heard from military guys with that were under Dr. Stephen Greer. They classified over 50 different species, and I've seen sources that said there's over 200 different species. But I'm going to give you a for example. We have a huge population of grays. We got 4 foot grays. We got 7 foot grays, and there's different types of grays. Now, of the grays, there could be good grays and bad grays. So there
True.
could be
Yeah.
different factions of grays, just like we have the Western Anglos against the Eastern China and Russia. So you have China and Russia and Iran in the east and North Korea. that's one faction. They want to China's going to rule the world. They're going to take over. It's their turn now to take over the world. They're going to do, once China and Russia defeat the United States, they're going to defeat the, it's fate. They're going to defeat the United States in one day. And it's a whole nother, we can do a whole nother video on that some other time. You have China and Russia, that's one faction. They're in the east. The US, Great Britain, Canada in the west. They want to rule the New World Order. So there's your two factions. Now the globalists, the Western globalists are, and technocrats are in the West. And but the technocrats, they don't care. The technocrats and the bankers don't really care. They just want to rule. But the communists in the East want to beat the new. See, this is a communist takeover in the U.S. What you see going on in the U.S., all these bad things. Can you hear me? All right, I'll change this. I'll go back. You got different factions. So I don't know. I don't want to get too much into that because I don't have enough experience and I haven't read enough on it. I know there's Nordics out there, there's Palladians, and a lot of people have a lot of good things to say about them. There's also the tall whites. I don't know how old the video was. It just came out a couple of days ago. There was a video of Charles Hall a couple of days ago on Coast to Coast AM. It was a live stream. You got to watch that. He was an enlisted Air Force like me. He got an assignment as a weather guy out in the field. He was working in Nellis Air Force Base. Well, in the mountains of where Nellis Air Force Base is in Nevada, right near Vegas, the tall whites live out there. They got a base. They got a base right on the ground out there.
Your camera's shaking again. That's sorry. That's okay.
The tall whites are out there, and I heard that story before. And so Charles Hall, I don't know if he's still alive, but I don't know how old that. But that was on the live stream a couple of days ago. There's the tall whites, there's the Palladians, there's the Nordics, there's the Greys, there's the Andromedans, there's the Reptilians. There's a lot of different races out there. There's insectoids, there's praying mantis. So
yeah, I mean, do you think with the billions of galaxies out there, and all the trillions of planets, that there would just be a plethora of different intelligent life,
right.
I often wonder, I think a lot, I'm not sure, I'm not going to put words in anybody's mouth, but usually when I hear people talking about, oh, why would the aliens come here? We're not that important or whatever. Why would they travel all the way here? I always think, well, maybe they're not just coming here. We're just a stop along the way, like a gas station or something.
That's exactly. But this planet, our planet, it's like a DNA farm. I mean, it's loaded with DNA, resources. Yeah. There's plenty of resources and human DNA. And you see that movie Intruders, right? Yeah. So you got all that human DNA. A lot of these human races, like the Greys, some of these races are dying out, and they are making hybrids, and they need our DNA. They need eggs from women and sperm from men. And that's all they ask. That's all they're asking, is to help them extend the life of the race. And that's part of the treaty. I mean, if you research it, I believe Eisenhower, he had more than one treaty because he met with more than one species. But the one treaty I'm familiar with is the Grayada Treaty. I'm not sure if I was the Greys or who that was with, the Grayada Treaty. And they said he went out for a dental appointment, but actually he went to meet them. He met, I think he met one at Holloman Air Force Base, New Mexico, and he met one in Edwards. Uh, it's hard to remember. Keep all the
Yeah, I think it was Edwards, but
Holloman,
I'm I,
Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico.
okay. All right. I do remember that story about him kind of disappearing for the
Yeah.
dental appointment and it being a little strange that he was gone at the time he was gone. And that was supposedly when he met with the aliens. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And that treaty, was that like a treaty so that they would maybe give us some technology and that they would and we would in turn say, okay, you can abduct our people? 'Cause I've
Exactly.
heard
That's
that.
that's exactly what it was. Don't hurt us. Take what you need. Don't hurt us. Put us back with no memory where you found us, and that was it. But not all of them were honoring the treaty. Some of them were doing more. They were doing more. They were doing things they weren't supposed to do, and some of them were breaking the treaty. And that you can see. Well, there's your different factions, or your different factions got in there and might have been doing bad. So
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
I wonder I wonder I wonder why they would need a treaty from us in the first place. Um, you know, their technology seems so advanced and they can just kind of take whoever they want whenever they
They always
want.
did. They always did. I mean, even Christopher Columbus, when they came over here, when those ships came over from Europe back in 1500s, that I saw, if you research it, they were seeing bright lights in the sky. These, Columbus and all of them coming over here, they saw bright lights in the sky going by. So
Yeah, they even saw them come out of the ocean too.
they've always
Yeah.
and th- they've always been taking people and meeting people. But
So it's interesting that they would need a
I
treaty
think I
unless
think it was on
I
Eisenhower's part. He
I
wanted to try and have some control. He wanted to have some control because of course, he wanted the technology, but he wanted some type of control or reassurance that because he had to go along with it because if they can, it's like William Cooper would say. William Cooper, if you know who William Cooper is, William Cooper always said, if you know they can lick you, you better make friends with them.
yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. I was reading, well, I was rereading The Day After Roswell, and uh, Philip Colonel Corso
Yeah,
was talking about gigahertz, and they seem to figure out that these these alien crafts seem to operate within certain gigahertz, and that the actual ship itself seemed to be like a circuit, and the aliens themselves were part of the ship, and the suits they wore were integrated into the ship, and they would just basically lay their hands on a console. They'd wear like a
yeah, I
headband.
heard I heard that too, and I read some of that, and they used to. So the thing that they were susceptible to was radar beams. So the radar would interfere with the headset, and they would crash. The radar
Ah,
that the military was using was affecting them, and that's why they crashed in Roswell and also in Aztec. And all, there was more. Yeah, they crashed in Roswell, and like a month before or after they crashed in Aztec, New Mexico, and there was another crash somewhere else. They were crashing all over the place.
huh. I guess a lot of planets out there don't use radar because you would think that, that would be, you know,
Yeah.
you wouldn't think it would bring them down. But I guess um, if they're hooked into their ships and, you know, the radar somehow confuses the pilot or just makes the ship do something that they don't want, or maybe think about maybe even like a shock, since the beings, I'll just call them, well, all right, I'll call them aliens because they're aliens. To me, I also do believe in other dimensions, and that they're, they could be from other dimensions also.
Yeah, you go.
um oh yeah, just crazy, crazy stuff,
Yeah. It's
um
very interesting. Of course, they're advanced. I'm sure they found their way around it. I'm sure they fixed the problem now. I'm sure if
yeah,
we've been working with them since Roswell, and so I'm sure they fixed the problem. They're not letting them crash like they were, and I'm sure the ETs have fixed that problem. Because you notice
yeah.
um more and more with these abductions, they're just coming into your home. I don't see as many people getting picked up by craft outside, not like it used to be. That's maybe I'm
Right.
wrong, but any reports, or I just more of the adoptions, or they're just coming into the bedroom and doing what they want to do. Um, if they took me out of the bedroom and up onto a ship, I wouldn't know about it. I would have been out like a slug, a rock. But I think in the old days,
Hmm. Oh, I
I
think I
mean,
hear something.
like I
Yeah,
was
there you
saying,
go.
I think years ago it was more so abducting people outside into the craft, but nowadays they're just coming into your bedroom more often. I think that's mostly they just come to your bed while you're in bed. And I think it's more so that at least that's what it's been with me. And I've never seen any UFOs outside, never. Now I thought maybe I did it during the
Huh.
daytime, but I'm not sure. I just saw something that was changing color, but I don't know what it was. It didn't really look like UFO. I couldn't tell what it was, and it didn't move. um, I don't know what it was, but somebody else said, "Oh, yeah, different colors." But I'm not going to because I'm sleeping and I'm enjoying the dream state or the projection. And I've had dreams that were vivid, that were real. I was on a real location. I was at a shoreline with a cliff. It was nighttime. I could see the ripples in the water because there must have been a full moon out. And I saw three beautiful alien UFOs, alien craft, come over the cliff, the mountain, and they were all lit up, and the lights, different color lights, blue, red, yellow, green, were spinning around. And that was vivid. That was real. That was vivid and real. That was in an astral projection. That was when I was astral traveling out of my body. Um, but don't know, is one more where I saw like a black triangle. That one, when I saw the big, big, big black triangle, I thought of my knee. I thought of my knees and put my arms up like this. And don't know why I did that. But I was like, that one worried me a little bit. The black,
I saw I saw a black
yeah,
triangle flew right over me, and it was low enough to where I could actually feel
really,
heat. And yeah, and I didn't think about it at the time, but um, it was summertime, and I opened up the door, and there's the light right there with all the bugs flying
Yeah.
around. And there's just noises of bugs everywhere because where I live, it's very rural. Like we have
Me
farms
too.
all around, just like
Me
tons of
too.
bugs. And yeah, and so we have this big, huge cathedral window over our front door. So when I was walking to go up the stairs to go to bed, is when I saw like a big red light outside. So I immediately, since this was like I don't know, I've had so many UFO sightings, I lost count, but I knew what it was immediately. And so I walked outside and I was just looking up, and it was like, it wasn't the size of a football field, like most people say, but maybe about half the size of a
Yeah.
football field. I mean, it was still huge. Um, and it had the red orb in the middle, and it didn't have any lights um, on the pointed on the three sides, but it was just a very black, dark craft. It just, you know, it was darker than the sky, and
How'd
I,
you feel? What kind of feeling did it give you?
you know, that's what I was just about to try to get into, and it was really just the strangest thing because, um, I've had a lot of UFO sightings, mostly orbs, one flying saucer, and then this triangle, which was the most amazing of them all. But it was really my second sighting that still to this day affects me the most. And so basically, like this thing, it flew over my house. So I don't know what I was doing, but instead of just, I was already outside. I could have just went around my
Yeah.
house, to follow it. But I went back into my house, through the living room to the kitchen to the sliding back door, which was locked, and I had to like get the board out of the bottom, undo the curtains, try to unlock the door, get out there, and I'm looking, and it's gone. So I'm like, okay, you know, I had my phone ready that time, and I was like, okay, gotcha. So, I, for about a half hour, I was, like, wow. I mean, I always wanted to see a huge triangle because I hear about them all the time. Um, and after that, I just went to bed. And um, I told my wife about it like maybe 3 days later because I didn't want to scare her. And
Yeah.
we, we actually, my wife and I saw a UFO together about a month ago, I think. I'm so bad with time frames, but it was after dinner, and I was just sitting by in my lazy boy by the window, and she was on the couch, and I didn't have my phone on me. It was in the basement, but um, I was just, I looked out the window and I saw what looked like basically a black football kind of doing circles in and out of a cloud. And I said, uh, hey, honey, you want to see a UFO? And because I've told her about 15 times, I saw a UFO today and it looked like this. And she's always like, so she actually went to the window and she saw it too. And that to me was just like, okay, at least my wife knows I'm not seeing
Yeah.
things. So, so you have no memories of actually being on a craft, right?
No, and the only way I would find out is if I went under hypnosis, and I had to go under hypnosis because uh, there was a beautiful black woman that I was dealing with in my sleep, and I've had relationship with her in the astral realm, and she was coming on to me, and she was disturbing me in sleep to the point where she was almost raping me. It got to the point where when I went to bed at night, she would, come on me, and I couldn't see her, but unless I went into a sleep and I saw her in the other realm. But she was stimulating me, and but I had to I was getting to bed really late, like 4 or 5 in the morning, three days in a row. I was lacking sleep, and I went to my priest and I said, look, can you help me out? And the Catholic priest, he wouldn't help me. He didn't know what to do. So luckily, I knew this. I remember this guy from the New Age movement. He used to be a big time lawyer up in Philadelphia. Well, he's like a holistic healer, hypnotist, and his name is if you Google him, Art Gutkin, Gutkin. Art Gutkin, healer, and he's in the Philadelphia area. Nice guy. He works local within the surrounding counties. He came over, and we did about 3 or 4 hypnosis sessions to back her off. And I was under hypnosis. I work. You don't lose control, but I was under hypnosis for about an hour. And how long did it feel like you were under? I said, oh, about 10, 15 minutes. Oh, you were under 50 minutes. To me, it felt like about 13, 15 minutes. And I had you under for about 50, 55 minutes. So the session was a lot longer than I thought it was. And so we were doing deep subconscious exercises. So I haven't had a problem. So luckily it helped. But I haven't gone under hypnosis for abductions. But speaking of orbs, for the longest time, I get these black orbs when I look up in bed, up at the ceiling. There's like black orbs. Some of them are the size of a black hockey puck, and they're looking at me through the black orb. I can see the black orb in the ceiling. And when I look at it, I'll go like this, or I'll wave. I say, I'll see you, and then it flies. It'll go all the way where I'm at. It'll come this way and go right through the wall and leave. And I saw one about a month ago. Must have been about a black orb. Must have been about this big, surround, a black orb. And I look at it like perhaps it's like a camera, or like it's their way of remote viewing. It's like almost like a remote viewer, but I don't think they need a black orb in order to watch you, because I know they've been here invisible. They've been invisible. I mean, when I was laying on the couch, they came right up to me. They were invisible, and they were like, "Come on, come back, come to bed," and they were invisible. And they be right here invisible, right. But the black orb is, I don't know. It's just another way of doing it, and they're, I guess
maybe those are different ETs, and that's the way they do it.
It could be more different ETs, because the gray was different than the other. The gray, the 7 foot tall gray, was a totally different being than the one that came in 2017. The one in 2017 was, and I shook his hand. He was physical. He knew I had to get out of bed to go pee. It was like 5 a.m. I had the shades cracked. The little light was coming through. He knew I had to go. He knew I had to pee. I was like, yeah, I can't get out with you standing there. So he's like, okay. So he dematerialized and faded away like smoke. 1 second, 1 minute, he was physical. They got that technology. If you took the technology away, they probably couldn't do it. But they have a technology where it's either on them or from the ship or the other dimension wherever they're linked to. He was physical in my dimension, then he faded away and dematerialized, going back to the other dimension. Just like that's how they come in your place. They come right through your windows. They come right through your walls. Um, and you
Yeah.
see, you're seeing all the UFOs. I haven't seen any UFOs outside. You're seeing all the UFOs. I'm getting all the visitations.
Yeah. I've been told that I'm most likely an
You gotta
abductee
be. You have
because
to be.
of all the UFOs I've seen. Um, I only have one case of missing time when I was a child. Um, but yeah, if what you're saying is that you don't have any memories of actually being taken, that that kind of well, it doesn't scare me because I want to. If I am an abductee, I want to know.
You have to go under hypnosis.
Is
That's the
that the
only way
only?
you gotta
Because
find out.
there's some.
You gotta
There,
find a good hypnotist. You gotta find a good hypnosis.
there's so many people that come out and say they're abductees, but have never went under hypnosis. Or is it just they? Could I maybe be telling them on the ship, like, hey, I don't want to remember anything. I don't care what I tell you,
Now,
you know.
when you're with them, you wouldn't be talking like that. You're like looking at them like in awe, and you're like, please don't hurt me, please just and they're like, relax, we're not going to hurt you. We just want to do this and do that, and that's probably the farthest thing from your mind. but oh, but Bud Hopkins, his books just got re-released. There's a new copy. There's two new copies that just came out. They went out of print and they just brought them back. I just saw them on YouTube. Bud Hopkins, Missing Time. They just re-released it. I don't know when, but it's a brand new copy. Missing Time and Intruders: The Incredible Visitations at Copley Woods, what the movie's based on. They re-released those two books, and they look like they're black and white on the cover a little bit. It's not the way it used to be. But yeah, I mean, Bud Hopkins, I learned from William Cooper that Bud Hopkins, he helped a lot of people. He was a great guy. He worked with Johnny Mac. Bud Hopkins, he was according to William Cooper, he was CIA counterintelligence. He's CIA counterintelligence. He worked for CIA. He was collecting data from U.S. citizens. He wasn't just an artist. Linda Moulton Howe, another CIA counterintelligence, according to William Cooper. And William Cooper, he's no longer with us.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's his opinion. I can't say I agree with it.
I mean, that was in his book, Cooper's book.
Yeah.
I'm not going to disagree with him. He's he worked in naval intelligence, right? Pretty smart guy.
Right.
And he was great in his day. William Cooper was great. If you know a little bit about William Cooper, he was great in his day.
Yes, he was.
So was Phil Schneider.
Phil Schneider, yeah. His story was pretty weird. And for people that don't know about Phil Schneider, basically he worked as some kind of contractor for the government where they were digging, right? Digging.
He was a geologist and explosives expert, and he dug underground bases.
Okay. Yeah, and he kind of got in a fight with a tall gray and was saved by one of the officers, I guess.
Yeah, it was either a green beret or black beret, and a lot of them lost their lives that day. It was in the summer of '79.
So I never understood what they were doing.
Well, see, he was assigned to dig 4 big holes to dig a new base. He had digged on top of he was digging on a base that was already there. They didn't know that the Grays were already down in that location, and they were digging on top of a Gray base. And then he saw these two or three grays, and it scared him. And I mean, he said he already knew about the alien agenda, and he wasn't totally surprised, but he was scared, and he had a suit on, and a helmet mask suit on, and he said they stunk to high heaven, and he had a
Yeah.
Walter PPK on him, and he reached for it. He killed two of them, but one of them went like this, and they shot a laser beam at him, and he opened him up like a fish, and fried him and his foot and all that, and so. But this Green Beret or whatever saved his life. They hit the crane and brought the crane back up, and I think you said about 50 of them died up there. So they didn't,
Yeah.
he never, he was never the same after that. That's when he started doing, seminars and lectures and getting the word out. And another one.
Yeah. And apparently committed suicide. In quotes, people. Yeah. So the Greys seem to be very interested in our DNA and helping to keep their race going. What about all the other races? Are they? Do you know of any cases where like other races are interested in the DNA? Like I kind of wonder why they come like abduct us if they're not really doing much with the DNA, because I mean, how many humans do you need to look at before you kind of know what's going on with them?
As far as I know, it's just the Greys, but it's probably more than that. It has to be more because there's a lot
Has
more
to.
out there than we realize. Um, there, I they've been taking a lot of stuff down off of YouTube and off of search engines. I had it on a DVD, but I gave it away. You might be able to find it on YouTube. It's called Alien Races A to Z. That's what it is. Alien Races A to Z. Different. You're
Okay.
going to find multiple versions. You're going to have to go through all the versions to get all of them. So there's like part one, part two, part one, part two. There's like different channels which have the same version, but some don't have all of it. But you're going to have to go through all the channels in order to get, you're going to get a little confused because there's like two or three channels that have part one, part two, you know what I mean? So, but I think if,
Yeah, and that's of all the different
yeah,
alien
yeah,
races, right?
they go through quite a few dozen. Like really
Yeah.
pretty authentic pictures. I mean, they're not real pictures, but they give you a really authentic, and they tell you who they are, what their name is, where they're from, and what their habits are. What do they eat? What do they do? Why are they here? Uh, you know, and they have everything from little people, like 12 inches high, the real small ones, and
Yeah. It's just
some of
fascinating.
the names are far out. I mean, they look like they could be in a one of those, they could be on a Lucky Charms box.
Yeah, or like the guys, the little smoking guys in the Men in Black
Yeah, right.
movies. You know, and speaking of that movie, who knows? I mean, that could be a little bit more realistic than we may have thought before.
Well, I got to tell you, I off the record, I talked to I was getting my hair cut in Delaware when I lived in Delaware, and I was at a barber shop, and I cut my own hair now. I'm due for. I got to cut my own hair. I just shave it with. I shave it with the clippers. I hold a mirror and I shave it with the clippers, and
Yep.
I got a mirror in the back. So anyway, this is before I was cutting my own hair. I started cutting my own hair when COVID hit, and I couldn't get a haircut. So I said, well, I'll do whatever I have to do to get a haircut. Anyway, so I'm in there and I'm waiting for my haircut, and there's a police officer getting his haircut. A Wilmington, Delaware police officer. He's a city cop for Wilmington, Delaware. And so he was talking about the Men in Black and how he called them dirt bags and he was pissed off. I said, "Oh, you come across the Men in Black?" He said, "Oh yeah." He says he was really pissed off, because they can't do nothing. You know, they have no authority. The cops have no authority over the Men in Black. They have no authority. The Men in Black could do whatever they want. The cops have to eat crap and like it. And he was like, "Oh, they're all dirt bags," and he was pissed off and this and that. I said, so I'm laughing. I said, "Look, tell me this. Have you seen any black eyed kids or black eyed children? You know what I'm talking about?" So he says, "Yeah." "Yeah." He says, "Yo, they're all over. Like they're a real problem in Delaware.
Mm.
Black eyed kids, black eyed children in Delaware, where I'm from. I can't, black eyed children in Delaware, black eyed kids in Delaware. The cops, they see everything. They're out all hours of the night. They drive down the darkest, loneliest streets. The cops they know everything. You think you see UFOs and I get visitations? The cops know everything. It's their business to know. They cover up a lot of the horrific stuff. The horrific stuff that happens, they cover that stuff up.
I'm
They
sure they
cover it
do.
up, man.
That's
They do.
um I'm thinking of sharing something, but I'm gonna share it. It's a memory that I'm just recently rediscovering. When I was a kid,
Yeah.
I used to have a recurring nightmare that big tarantulas came in my room, and for the life of me, I can't remember how many there were. I know there were at least two, maybe up to four, but it could have just been three. Um, but it was a recurring dream I must have had 6 to 8 times. Um, and it was always big, like 3 foot tall, 3.5 foot tall tarantulas. So, I mean, I always wondered if that was maybe a cover or like a screen memory.
No, that could be. Well, I don't want to scare you. I don't want to scare you, but I
Go
have
for
to
it.
say it. I have to say it. I learned. I had. I've had. I don't see real big tarantulas, but I do know. Uh, well, how do I say this? Let me back up. The first time I heard about something like that was my eccentric friend Peter from Delaware. He says, I saw I've been to his house. He was living in, he lives a Stark existing. He's like a hippie
Mm.
from the 60s, right? I don't know what, he lost his house because they just kicked him out. They said because he was living there rent free. He didn't have to pay taxes. He found a way not to pay taxes on the house. If your house or property is worth less than like 20,000, you don't have to pay taxes in Delaware. So he was like living, and he didn't have any bills. I don't know if he had electricity or candles, and he had running water. That was it. And I guess he had electricity. Um, but he said, he said, I saw a spider on top of my house. I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "I saw a giant spider just engulfed on top of my house." And he said, an astral spider. It's like what he said. I said, "How do you know?" I said, "How do you know there was a gigantic spider sitting on top of your house with its legs all wrapped around your house?" He says, "I can see it." He said, "I can see it." I said, "How can you see it?" He said, I just can. I was out there and I saw it." I said, "Well, that's not good, Peter. That's not good." And it happened to me, but it wasn't a giant spider. Where I would wake up in the morning and the sun would be shining, or maybe even at night, I'd look out the corner of my eye, and I'd see like a spider web. It wasn't like it was a spider web next to me. Like my head's up against the wall. I don't have a bedboard, so my head's like my pillow's right against the seat, like right against the wall. But there's like the spider web is like connected to the wall right next to my head, and I could see it I could see it like there's light with shadows, and I see like a little spider web and stuff like that. So I knew there was a little spider nearby. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, oh. So anyway, and there was a time I saw a spider crawling up and down the wall, whatever, and I knew it was astral. It was an astral spider. There are
Huh.
astral spiders out there, and that's not good.
Oh,
That's demonic. They're, they're in your dirt, dirt in the ash, dirt, and they do exist. They are what you saw. What you saw was in the astral. I'm not saying yours. The ones I saw were in the astral plane. And the astral plane is another dimension. I mean, I can't prove it, but we have spiders. We have insects. Spiders lurking around, and when I was waking up, I was like in between states, just like when I had them beams of white light coming out. And the longer I stayed awake, then the beams of white light
hmm.
slowly came down and went away. It's nothing to worry about. But I remember there's a video you should watch. It doesn't talk about spiders, but it talks about like what like when people that die and go to hell, the bad people and the fallen angels and the ones that are done bad that are going to go to hell. It tells people have been down there, or Jesus has taken people down there and showed them to warn the rest of us what's down there, because Jesus talks more about he talked a lot about hell in the Bible, and the churches won't talk about it. There's a video. Uh, it's like if you write this down, Jesus shows Mary K. Baxter's middle initial K. Jesus shows Mary K. Baxter 40 days of heaven
Hmm.
and hell. And that's the video. That's the long version. Or you could just go, Jesus shows Mary K. Baxter visions of hell.
Okay.
That's the shorter version. Um, she talks about hell. And in hell, you should watch that, because Jesus took her to hell for 40 nights while she was sleeping. And he didn't show her everything. He said some of hell is so bad I can't show it to you, but I'll be with you every bit of the way. And he said there's like a snake. There's a snake down there. The snake is as big as a train. This big snake. It's bigger than a train.
Yeah.
You know, like a locomotive.
Yeah.
How big the snake
I'll
is.
take it. I'll take it
So that's pretty.
on.
Yeah, you're courageous. Yeah. I don't like snakes. I'm with you. I don't like snakes. I don't like spiders. I don't, frogs are cute. We got frogs in the pond over here, or turtles, but I'm not one for snakes or spiders
Yeah.
or things like that. No, not
On the
my cup of
topic of
yeah.
religion and the Bible and all that, some people I've heard um, while they're being abducted have kind of just started praying to God, saying, please, God, help me or whatever. And then the aliens go away. Have you ever heard anything about that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's absolutely true. You have to, yeah, but it only works. I met an abductee when I was getting tires put on my car at NT National Tire and Battery. I still remember his name, and I was getting tires put on my car. He was telling me, this is before I knew I was an abductee. And he said, you know, if you're ever in trouble with, if you're ever abducted, you're in trouble. He said, reach out to Jesus, cry out to Jesus. You have to cry out to Jesus. You have to say, help me, Jesus, save me, Jesus. I rebuke you by the blood of Jesus, I rebuke you. By the blood of Jesus, I rebuke you. Please help me, Jesus. Help me, Jesus. So that scares them. The name Jesus will scare them. That's your sword right there. By the blood
Hmm.
of Jesus, I rebuke you. Jesus. Jesus says, I have authority over scorpions and snakes. I have authority over you. That's in the Bible. So all that is your defense, and that'll save your life. And that gives you authority, not only over them, but over fallen angels and Lucifer. You know, as long as you're forgiven by the blood of Jesus, Lucifer, you know, resist the devil. You can't fight the devil. You can't fight him. You're gonna lose.
Right. Well, good thing we have angels, right? And folks, Bernard and I have been experiencing um, lagging signal all night, and you will see some freezing from time to time, but the information I believe is important and not how it looks. So if I know everyone watching on YouTube, I do apologize for some of the freezing, but it's the information that counts. So um,
What's your YouTube channel?
yeah,
Is this on your
it's
YouTube
called
channel?
UFO Community, or I'm sorry, UFO Unlimited. It used to be called UFO Community. Got that messed up. UFO Unlimited. Jeez. Um, yeah, I got about 1,370 subscribers, and just starting to get the interviews going. You're number 3. I've got one tomorrow, and I've got a couple next week. Set up through Philip Mantle, um, and I've got some UK connections. Had Neil Nixon on. He was great. He was a lot of fun, and um,
I was on a Marfugal TV. I was on Marfugal TV for the last 12 minutes on the show. I called in as a guest, and I got on. I was able to talk the last 12 minutes of the show last November 4th on Marfugal
yeah,
TV, and they
I
really
mean your
enjoyed it.
story's amazing. Anything else that you were shaking a little bit on the camera again?
I've had visits by the
Okay,
Hat Man.
okay,
The Hat Man. Shadow people. It started when I moved to Delaware County in 20 around. It was right around the same time the fallen angel came, or that being that dematerialized. Well, I was dreaming. I was dreaming, and I was in a dream state, but I was conscious. I was still.
okay. Yep, there you go.
Can you
Okay.
hear me?
Uh,
I was in a dream state. I was in a dream state, but I was totally awake and conscious. I remember everything vividly. I saw this figure in my dream. He approached me. This mysterious character. He was a man with a big, large fedora hat on. He had a trench coat on and a plaid vest. And but he didn't have a face. I couldn't see no face, and I was a little bit nervous because I couldn't see the face. And I say, "Can I help you, sir?" Again, nothing, nothing. So I said, "Can I help you, sir?" Nothing. I was scared. I was a little scared. So I got out of the dream. I woke up and got out of bed. I said, "Oh, that was spooky." I didn't know what that was. So I was talking to somebody. I belong to a supplement company. I take a lot of, and that's probably no coincidence. They, the ETs, they like my sperms. Oh no, don't forget, I had visits by my by a beautiful hybrid sexy female, young girl, dark haired young girl in her early to mid 20s. She came in my
hmm,
bedroom. So I'll get back to that. But
That's a little better
the
than
Hat Man.
tarantulas.
Well, yeah, the Hat. So he I woke up at 10, about 10:15 in the morning one day. It was a beautiful sunny day. I woke up. And as I woke up, my head's tilted to the left. I woke up before the alarm clock, but I'm still laying in bed. I'm just kind of just laying here. I hear this boom at my door, my front door. There's no stairs, and he comes. I know it's the Hat Man. I just know it. It's the Hat Man. I just knew. He comes busting through my front door, and I hear him boom, 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 boom. He's like walking almost like a run walk down the hall to my bedroom door, and my
Ugh.
back is to the door. And I said, "Oh my God!" And I'm like, I don't have time to react, so I'm like, I just lay there, and he he grabs me. I keep my again. My eyes are turned. I keep my eyes shut, closed, tight. He pulls me to the center of the bed, and then he was scratching at my back and hurting my back. And then I'm laying on my back in the middle of the bed, and he's yelling at me. And I don't know. It's in English, but I can't understand what he's saying because there's all this background air and turbulence around him. And I hear all this, he's yelling and screaming and talking this, talking that. So so I was like, okay. So I'm sorry. I don't know what you're saying, but I'm sorry. Please don't hurt me. And so I hear these dogs barking out front my door. These dogs are barking. So he goes running back out. And then he comes running back again. And then I kind of feel like this the tip of his hat is like against the my temple,
Oh, wow.
like this hat, and my eyes are shut. I won't dare open my eyes, right? But probably he's probably invisible anyway. But then he left, and I was
Wow.
scared.
What do
Um,
you think he was doing?
yeah.
Just
Well, I that's when I
okay.
became born again saved. Uh, I did a you should write this one down too. Derek, have you heard of Derek?
Oh, hmm. Very, very.
Yeah, there we go. You ever hear of Derek
Derek
Prince?
Prince.
Derek Prince.
No.
Okay, write that down. Derek Prince. Derek, he's a pastor. He passed on. He's a Derek Prince. He's on YouTube. Derek Prince breaking generational curses. You watch that video. That's about an hour, hour and a half. I did that. I did 4 hours on my knees, repenting of every sin I ever committed. And I also well before that I went to Target and I invited Jesus into my heart. And then this is 2015. I invited Jesus into my heart and into my life and God and said, "Tell me what I'm doing wrong. Help me." And Jesus come into my life. And then one thing led to another, and I was meeting people and meeting people on YouTube, and I went back to the church, and I became born again, saved on my own between around 2015 when I turned 50. I'm 56 now. I'll be 57. I'll be 57
Oh,
in
happy
3 days
birthday.
on the 20th. Thank you. Um, so I became born again saved. I was breaking the generational curses that were placed on my family and placed on me. I think we all should do that. I think you should with the spider thing, you should do that. Write that down. Watch that video, Derek Prince breaking generational
Okay.
curses.
Yeah.
Watch that video. Wa- There's also another video by another pastor. You probably didn't hear of him. Have you ever heard of David
No, not big
Wilkerson?
on religion.
There's, well, you don't have to be. There's nothing religious about it. You'll believe me, you'll like this
Yeah.
stuff. You will like this stuff. The Bible by itself is not religion. It's just the word of God. There's no religion. The Bible by itself is no religion. There's no religion there. It's just the word of God. It's
Right.
what man has done to it. Man has done to it with all his denominations.
Yeah.
Forget the denominations.
I am a born
Forget
again
that.
Christian, by the way. I was saved
Yeah.
many times. When I was a kid, I used to call this hotline, some TV evangelist number, but um, the intention was there. They said the prayer with me. I would donate $5 or whatever it was, and it just made me feel good. So that's why I kept doing it like once a week. That would be my allowance, and I would just. It only went on for a couple months, but I remember reading the Bible and stuff as a kid, and just trying to make heads and tails of it, and just being like, I don't know what's going on here. Um, Different now, of course. I do study it from time to time, trying to find any kind of ET connection I can. So I've had a great time talking with you, and I get the feeling that we could probably do this for another couple hours if we wanted to, but uh,
Next time, the one with the hybrid, I can go over that
okay,
real
yeah,
quick
let's do
before we
that.
leave. She only came twice, as far as I know. She only came twice. The first time, I was laying on my physical body was laying face up, but my astral body, I was laying face down in the bed, and I was like, "You have to look up. I want you to look up at me." And I'm like, "Well, I'm scared. I don't want to look up because I don't know what I'm going to be looking up at. You know what I mean? Because
Uh,
I was just terrorized by something. Something it was
I'm
invisible,
sure.
but he terrorized me. So I don't want to look up. I don't know what I'm going to be looking at. You have to look up. Come on, just look up. It wasn't. I didn't hear no voice. That was the feeling I got. It's just like the feeling was, just look up. I want you to look up. I need you to look up. I said, okay, I'll look up. So I see this beautiful Italian girl, because I'm Italian, right? Dark haired, sexy looking young girl, right? You know, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 years old. And I said, oh, you're beautiful. I said, oh my God. Okay. I'm not scared. You're beautiful. And she's like, and that's all she needed. That's all she wanted. That's all she needed to hear. And then she was gone. And then about a week or two later, I'm laying on my side. I just want the bed, just lay down and go to sleep. I'm a side sleeper. I always start off laying on my left side. She came up from behind me, just came right up from behind me in bed. Came
There you go.
Can you
It
hear me?
ended at right when she came up behind you.
She came up behind me and came around, and we were making out. We were French kissing for
Huh.
like 15, 20 minutes. And she's interdimensional. Of course she is. She came up out of nowhere, and we were kissing for about 20 minutes, and then she just left. She was just poof. She was gone,
I wonder if
gone.
they're practicing. Like, I wonder if, that's a hybrid.
It'd be my hybrid daughter.
Hopefully not if you're kissing her.
Well, I didn't know it at the time, but I hardly had any control. She was the one that had the
Right.
control. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you're saying she was your daughter or she could have been your daughter?
No,
Okay.
I have no idea.
Okay.
I'm just
All right. Yeah.
grasping straws. I have no
Yeah.
idea. I have no idea. I'm just
Yeah.
connecting dots. Is all I'm doing.
It kind of reminds me of
I'm
Star
trying to connect.
Trek, how they, beam me up, Scotty, how they can just kind of beam you from one place to another. Maybe that's the kind of technology that at least some of the actual, like the ETs use. Now, the interdimension, the interdimensional
I can,
beings, that's completely
next
different.
time.
So,
Yeah, Next time, listen, if you want to have experiences, if you want to have contact with them, you've seen enough UFOs, and I think you want to have contact with them. If you really want to have contact with them, I can help you. I can help you, tell you things you can do to
Okay.
increase contact. So on the next one, you call me. We'll set up another one. We'll do a little bit earlier. We'll do maybe we'll do like a 2 3 oh 2 or what's your you do normally 2 hours. So we'll do call me. We'll set another one up and on how to increase your how to increase connection between them. And I'll tell you
Yeah, I think
how I
that'd be a
think you
great
can do
show.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You, you know how what I think you can do, and it doesn't take it takes a little bit of time and money, and it's not hard and it's fun. And but I'm letting you know you're opening up doors. You're opening up
Right.
doors, spiritual doors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're not they're not always the easiest doors to close if you want
Right.
to close them.
Once they're open, they're pretty much open, right?
Well, you know, I'm a born again saved Christian too. I There's a lot of things I could do right now to increase my visitations and open up my child. I don't work with crystals anymore, right? Because the Bible says, shall not work with idols or amulets. And there's another guy on YouTube, Stephen Bancars. Stephen Bancars. He was in the New Age movement. He has a channel, Stephen Bancars, Bncarz. He did it all in the New Age movement like I did, and he did more than I did. And he became born again saved because it's all backed up in Scripture, you know. But but we're all connected, and I don't want to. I want to keep an open mind. I want to keep an open mind, and if somebody has a yearning to have contact, and I heard another one. We'll talk about this next time. I heard from God once back in 2007 when I first got into the New Age movement. I had gotten a message from God. Now I didn't hear the words from God. I felt the words of God go through me. The words traveled through my
Hmm.
body. I didn't hear it. I felt the words. Boom, the
Wow.
words hit my body. I didn't hear it. It traveled through my body. It's like it was like electricity. There's no, you can feel electricity, but there's no sound,
Right.
but you can feel it. So it's like that.
Oh.
Anyway,
Wow.
uh,
I hope he was whispering because if he yelled, you'd probably get blown out of the room, right?
God's voice
Yeah.
is like thunder. There's another guy on YouTube. There's another guy on YouTube, a black pastor, cool guy, real cool guy. Apostle Charles Turner the Third. He's got a really good video out. A really good video. I'll give it to you next time if you want, or if you want it now or next time. I got my notes over there. If you want the video, you can write it down. It's about the food shortages in the fall. There's going to be we're going to get. I don't know if you know. There's going to be. We have they've been messing with our supply chain for the
Yeah.
last couple years, and throwing every monkey wrench in there. And by this fall, I think a lot of people that aren't starving are going to be starving in this country and the rest of the world. So anybody who's listening,
Hmm.
I'm shaking. Anybody who's listening, if you're listening, stock up on food. Um, don't if you already gotten your C shots, try not to don't get any shots and get your food, get your water filtration, get your canned food, get your freeze dried food. Get a means of self defense. If you live in the city, move out of the city, get out of the cities. At least go to the suburbs, go to the country. Do it. Get to a remote area, get away from cities. They're target zones. Get away from them. They're high crime zones.
Yeah.
The cities are going to go down. Um, the food shortages are going to come by this fall. And if you thought, if any rides you thought were bad, this is going to be bad. This is going to be bad. It's all part of the plan. and we can get into the agenda. We can talk. I can talk around. I can beat around the bush with the plan. The agenda. We can talk about that too.
Okay.
The agenda that's coming up. The whole, the alien agenda and the agenda of the world elite. We can talk about
Yeah, let's do
the
that
agenda.
too. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was fun. Um, I love doing this. It's
Yeah.
very therapeutic for me because I have no one in my life I can talk UFOs with, you know. They're none of my friends, none of my family, no one's interested. It seems to creep everybody out. So I just don't talk about it unless I'm interviewing great people like you, Bernard. So thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank
Once
you.
again, we're going to have a part 2, ladies and gentlemen, because we just couldn't get to all the information. And so make sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you would like to be a guest on the show, you can email me at theshow1972@gmail.com. Once again, hit that subscribe, hit that bell. Bernard, thank you very much for being on the show. And we will talk soon, buddy.
Well,
All right, take care.
okay.
You too.
Here. Have a good night.